Hi, I'm Corey Baldwin.
And I'm Dan Searle. Welcome back to Off the Beaten Path, a podcast for basketball coaches living in obscurity, working in obscurity, and even those who have made it out of obscurity.
It's a place for storytelling, learning, connecting, and food for thought, and also a little food for the belly.
In today's episode, we have a very special guest and a good friend, Travis Williams, a basketball coach, a social activist, and more than anything else, a husband and a dad. Tegan and Travis Jr., shout out to them. He's got an extensive resume that we'll talk about as we go through, but he is somebody who's out there making an impact. Travis, welcome to our podcast. It's awesome to see you, to have you on, to hear your stories, man.
Man, first of all, thank you guys for having me, man. What a humbling experience just to be here with you guys. And man, I've known you guys for a number of years, man. And so to have this platform to sit here and talk your life, you know, you talk sports, you talk faith, you talk family, but more importantly, we reconnecting on a level that we haven't connected, especially with everything's going pretty much virtual at this moment. But just to reconnect with you, trusted colleagues, but more importantly, friends, man. And so that's important. And I don't take this moment for granted and really appreciate you having me on your show.
You got it, Travis. And let's jump right into it. We are taping this podcast a day after your event at the state capitol, the Coaches for Change movement, Travis. And let's go right there. Where did this concept come from? How did it become a reality, and what kind of impact is it having right now? Tell us all about it, and we'll jump in and plug in, because what happened on Wednesday.
And I thank you for jumping right in and getting straight to the point, man. And so this was a vision, you know, after seeing all the racial unrest, the social injustice, the police brutality, and then seeing the voter suppression a few weeks ago at our Georgia polls, man, it was just something, you know, what can we do? You know, I have a weekly show called In the Loop with Travis Williams, exclusive conversation. And as you've seen, I've been doing that 3 or so months. And so I've had guests on there from every aspect and every walk of life, from religion.
Yeah, Coco Golf and Bishop Joseph Warren Walker, Mawali Davis, local attorney here, everybody. It's a good show, man.
Yeah, and so for me, you know, so what can I do? You know, I didn't want to sit back, and me and my wife, we discussed it as a family. What can we do? You know, if you're silent, you're a part of the problem. And I didn't feel that way, you know. And so for us in this, what better way, as you know, you and I know, and all three of us know, that sports is an unbelievable platform. And so it has the ability to unite folks from all over the world, from different races, different backgrounds, different cultures. But it also has the opportunity to impact and make change. And so this was an opportunity for me to reach out to a lot of my coaching colleagues and friends from the AAU, high school, elementary, prep school, Division I, Division II, NAI, on every level, you know. And so to reach out and pour into them and share the vision on what we need to do, because as you seeing it, that everything that's taking place, our student athletes, I mean, it's sort of like, you know, they're seeing this stuff, man. And so we got to make sure we educate and inform them, because they have a voice and they have a platform. And you have seen it in the past few weeks, you know, from the Oklahoma State running back to the linebacker at Florida State University, speaking out, you know, and holding coaches accountable. And then, you know, I think Lavelle Moulton had an article a few weeks ago saying, where are our Power 5 white head coaches that are not speaking out about this? And so when those coaches have that type of platform, it's important, because as you and I know, we can only do so much as Black men, Black women, African-American culture. We need everybody, in particular our white colleagues, to speak out. And that was so profound about the event yesterday. We had, I'm telling you, it was an unbelievable movement yesterday at the state capitol.
Travis, describe that to us for our viewers right now who may not have seen the post on social media or some of the news coverage that you got on CBS. What was the meeting? What was the gathering? What was the feeling? What was going on there?
Man, I got goosebumps for you even asking that question. Like I said, man, I could hardly sleep last night because it was a powerful moment. A powerful moment to see your coaching colleagues, white, black, male, female, every level imaginable, to come through for that cause. And so I was asked the question, what was one of the most memorable moments for you as a coach? And I said this, it wasn't Lefty Giselle get me in the business at Georgia State as a young coach, winning 3 championships at Georgia State back in the early 2000s. It wasn't that. It wasn't me being named the head basketball coach at Fort Valley State University at the age of 30, or getting an opportunity to coach a professional team at China after he won the 2008 Olympic gold, or getting an opportunity to be the head men's basketball coach at Tennessee State at age 40, or launching my academic and athletic consultant business, or moving back to Atlanta and being a high school basketball coach at Maynard Jackson High School, which formed the former mayor, legendary Mayor Maynard Jackson, or getting an opportunity to come back with Ron Hunter in 2018-19 season and winning a championship, or establishing the HBCU AllStar game, first ever during college basketball weekend. It was none of those moments. But yesterday was the most impactful, most historical moment, most thing that I would want to be known for. This movement for change. And so, man, for us to come together to take a knee for 46 seconds, for all those individuals have died at the hand of police brutality or just racial incidents, to raise our hand for 46 seconds, to take a knee at the end of the movement, and to get everyone on the same page, really willing to use their voice and their platform. Man, unbelievable.
You're still buzzing, aren't you? And let's talk about some of those voices, Travis. One of them was Coach Cabral Huff from Holy Innocents. And I know he talked about, he brought it together nice and tight, but very meaningful when he talked about the despair and the denial, but then you got to transform and empower. Can you tell us a little bit more about that, about his message and about some of the other messages that were shared yesterday?
And I applaud Coach Huff. He was one of the first individuals to reach out to me and say, hey, man, how can I help? And it was genuine. It was truly genuine. And he wanted to be a part of the movement. And certainly his message yesterday was so powerful. And all messages were powerful. When you talk about Coach Lanier from Georgia State University, just adjusting to here in Atlanta and getting used to the diversity and culture here, and just see where a group of people come together and really believe in certain things. And then, as you mentioned earlier, Miley Davis, who's on the front line, who's a civil rights attorney and activist, who's on the front line every day fighting for justice, fighting for righteousness. And so, I mean, and then we brought in a business leader, Michael Russell, who's 70 years, H.J. Russell Construction, corporate company, construction company, real estate, everything. And they've been in the movement and been around for 70 years. It goes back to his dates with his father, Herman J. Russell, that was involved in the civil rights movement with Martin Luther King. And so you bring in a leader in a community, a person like that says volumes. And so we were able to really have a powerful moment. And then you bring in Grady Brewer, who's been around in Morehouse College for a while, you know what I'm saying, as a former student athlete, a former student at Morehouse, former assistant coach, and now who's coaching the head coach. And so he experienced a lot of stuff. One of the most prestigious historical Black colleges and universities. And then like what you meant Coach Huff, Coach Larry Thompson, and all those guys, man, just to bring those individuals up there was unbelievable. And then you can't discount the fact that we had a young lady come through there, Renee Chatfield. I don't know if you remember, Renee was a former student athlete when I coached there in the early days at Georgia State. Mm-hmm. Powerful moment for her, because as you know, her son, Andre, graduated from Harvard Law School. She had him when he was 15 years old. And what a powerful testimony from her. And so, man, it was just a gathering of minds, gathering of colleagues, just figuring out that we have to keep this movement moving forward. Not after a month, everything die down, but we have to collect our white colleagues, Latin, everybody, we got to keep it moving, man. So that's summarize it in, just the mood and just the feeling.
That's a good little wrap up there of an important message with all those voices. And Corey loves to talk about our 6 degrees of separation here. Everybody's connected, that network that you referenced, Travis. And Michael Russell, I coached his son over at Westminster years back. And then I also know you had one of your, I think it was one of your teammates at Georgia State, Everett Morris was one of your speakers yesterday too, right?
Yep, Everett Morris, as a matter of fact, I coached Everett at the Galloway School.
Right, and I worked with his sister there too.
So Everett, I've been knowing Everett since he's been in 9th grade. So Everett, and then I had an opportunity when Everett walked on for us at Georgia State University. And so, and Everett, you talking about a message yesterday, it was unbelievable. He went from good to great, and just reflecting on his experience his parents had, because his father's Lee Morris on the county commissioner in the
Fulton County Commission.
Yep. And so I thought that was important for him to come share his story and just how he feels about everything. And it was sort of like a reality check for him. It's like, hey, I can do more. And that's what we want, folks, being able to use your voice and do more. And then, of course, we had Lamont McIntosh as well. And Lamont played for me, and Lamont,
one of my favorites, yep.
Yeah, but that's what coaching does for you. These are 20-something year relationships. You know what I'm saying? That's the impact of being a coach, impacting lives and everything. And so, but just to have that and have these type of individuals come through and pour out and speak out, man, it was really, really, really impactful, really great.
I wanted to add something. I thought, kind of listening to it, it seems like location made it even better. You being in Atlanta, maybe it was meant to be for you to be in Atlanta at this time, because there's just so many more people, so much more diversity and so many more, I'm just sitting here, all these names, man, are almost blowing me away, but they're all related to Atlanta.
Yeah. And so
location, right?
And that was it. And I'm glad you mentioned, because that was the most important thing. Man, just think about this. We're at the state capitol. Now this is important, and it was intentional. You're at the state capitol on Capitol Avenue. One side is Capitol Avenue, and the other side is 1 Martin Luther King Jr. Drive. Mm-hmm. Across the street on the state capitol ground is a statue of Dr. Martin Luther King. So Martin Luther King is on the right and we're on the left. So if I turn my head, I'm looking at Dr. Martin Luther King's statue. Mm-hmm. That's how important that is. And then it's called Liberty Plaza. That's what we fight for. We fight for liberty, we fight for justice, we fight for righteousness. We just fight to make sure we want, as you know, African man, we want equal rights. We want to, as bottom line, Black Lives Matter. You know what I'm saying? And so we're fighting with the Mildred Davis. We're fighting with the Chris Stewarts. We're fighting with the Justin Miller. These lawyers are on the front line really fighting. They have some of the most high profile cases that are game changing for everything that goes around the world. They are involved in every one of these high profile cases. The George Floyd, Ahmaud Arbery, the Rayshard Brooks. These attorneys are involved in all of those big time cases. Breonna Taylor. So this is important for us to keep fighting, to keep pressure. I'm all for peaceful protests, etc. But we just got to be mindful. You know what I'm saying? It's changing, guys. As you can see, it's just not Black folks that are out there marching. Y'all see that? So it's a lot of momentum that is happening right about now. And so, Coach, that was a great question, man. And I'm glad you asked it, because that was very significant on the reason why I chose the state capitol and Liberty Plaza in the heart of downtown Atlanta. And then they were back in the General Assembly. So they were back in the office this week.
How about that? And Travis, you mentioned momentum. You are a man of action. What's next? How does all of this momentum keep going forward so that there is true and meaningful change from your perspective? And it's person by person, it's gathering by gathering, it's white guy, black guy, it's everybody, men, women. But what is that next step that you see for you, for your group? I
appreciate you asking me that question, man. I just had that thought to myself, really, because my wife actually, she said, well, what's next? And I said, we have to get to the student athletes. Because no student athletes, they're hardly reporting to campus. You know, University of Houston shut it down due to the coronavirus. Georgia State just pushed it back from their student athletes. So eventually you have to get to the students. And when I say get to the student athletes, you got to get those lawyers like the Maynard Davis, the Justin Millers, and the Chris Stewarts to talk to these individuals and educate and inform. Mm-hmm. That was the significance of Maynard Davis out there yesterday. So we watching him talking to us and really giving us insight on what's going on from the legal aspects of it, the civil rights aspect of it, the movement in itself. And so I think from that, we educate and inform our student athletes, and they get in the perspective, hardcore perspective. I have relationships with those individuals to where I could potentially set up a Zoom call like we're doing now and do this for the universities. So that's the next step for me in this is, hey, let's have some dialogue and discussions, you know? And so I'll reach out to a Georgia Tech or Tom Crean, some of these, any school period, and set up a Zoom call, a Coaches for Change movement conversation. You know what I'm saying? It's all, you know, so that's possibly the next step is making sure they're educated and informed. And we want to bring these type of individuals to their attention. The Mike Russells, you know, folks that can make change. You know what I'm saying? So that's one of the next steps that I'm looking forward to.
Get the message to the student athletes. We hear you. And then it spreads from there. And the action becomes real. The momentum continues. Nice.
And that was important because remember, we invited all coaches, all student athletes on all levels. That was what we wanted to expose. We had a number of student athletes there, which got the message, but we want to continue to expand that. And we still doing our social distance. We still abide by all the wearing your mask and all that stuff, but it gets to the point where it's virtual, like we can do. I think that's important, man. That's the message.
All right, Travis, thanks for recapping that and then taking us forward. One of the initiatives kind of under your umbrella of ideas and all the things that you've been working on has been the AllStar experience. You referenced that as you went through your extensive list of experiences. Sadly, it didn't happen with the coronavirus canceling the Final Four here in Atlanta as far as in person, but tell us about that HBCU AllStar experience that you were building towards.
Man, it was unbelievable. You know, it goes back to 2019, you know, just trying to figure out after the Georgia transition from Georgia State, as you know, we all have transitions in life. It's however you look at your transition. If you're in coaching for a long time, you're gonna have your highs, you're gonna have your lows of it. And so that's the part of being a coach. But always in the back of my mind, I say, because I've always been about service. You know, even when I transitioned from Tennessee State University, I launched academic and athletic consultant because I felt there was a need, especially in 2016 when they changed all the academic requirements. And as you and I know, the NCAA doesn't have enough foot soldiers out there, so you're not really going to get the information when we're out here recruiting these kids. And so I knew that. So always in the back of my mind, it's all been about service and helping folks. And soon after Tennessee State, I launched academic and athletic consultant. And so with that being said, I said, hey, I believe in helping folks. I believe in helping, quote unquote, the underdogs or service to others. And so after the Georgia State, so I transitioned from that. I'm just leading you up to the mentality I have on why I think this HBCU AllStar game was very important. Not only because 18 of my 16 years of coaching were at HBCUs, but some of my most important personal and professional moments as a coach were at HBCUs. And so I was hired at the age of 30 at Fort Valley State University, and I was hired at the age of 40 at Tennessee State University. So I got a chance to see both sides. Also being at PWI's predominantly, white institutions, Mercer, Georgia State, my alma mater, et cetera. So I got a chance to see both sides. And so as you and I know, our HBCUs, they don't get the notoriety or the exposure of other schools. And so I got a chance to really see that. And so at the Georgia State University, I said, hey, it's time. You got the Final Four is coming in our backyard, in our backyard. And I said, hey, soon as I left Georgia State, God placed this vision. This is what you're going to do. So I launched HBCU AllStars. And so it just kept rapidly growing and growing. And so I assembled a team of key people, and we put it together, man. And so it was, I call the best in Black college basketball. We had the MEAC and the SIAC versus the SWAC and CIAA, called Team John McClendon. You familiar with John McClendon, who got started in the business with Naismith, and then Clarence Big House Game, the legendary coach at Winston-Salem. And so it was, if you made a first team or conference player of the year or whatever, automatically on the team in all those different leagues. And if you were a MEAC coach of the year, or the SWAC coach of the year, you were the AllStar team coach. And if you're the Division II coach of the year, you're the assistant coach. And then I had a few special surprises for the third coach that I was going to pick for those teams. And so it was at Morehouse College, prime time Friday night, guys. After the NABC game ended at 5:30, I had it scheduled for prime time Friday night at 7 o'clock.
And what you're talking about, primetime Friday night, we're talking Final Four weekend when thousands of coaches from across the country flood into the Final Four city, Atlanta in this case. And it was Friday night where there's no game or other stuff. You can head out to that HBCU All-Stars. Wow, Travis.
5 minutes away. 5 minutes away. And this is the kicker. We had got all confirmation from pretty much all the NBA teams they were going to have somebody there, and overseas team. Yeah, it was big. I mean, it was really big. Everybody had called and got it because it was intentional. Think about it. After the NABC All-Star game, 5 minutes away is Morehouse College.
Right.
So we wanted to make sure that there was nothing going on with all the other stuff. And so, but the good thing, we regrouped. I had a meeting a week or so ago, 2021 in Annapolis. And so hopefully, with the world and the economy, everything opens back up. We're making plans for 2021. The vision is to, wherever the Final Four is, there will be a historical Black college All-Star game there, wherever it travels. That's the vision. That's what we're doing.
Good luck. Go get it.
Thank you, man.
Let's kind of use that to transition into your journey.
Okay.
And it's definitely been off the beaten path. I know early, you played at Georgia State. You were a heck of a player, obviously, and that allowed you to stay there, correct, as an assistant. And then when you left there, what was it like? You'd been a Georgia guy your whole life, so your first stop was Chicago State. Is that correct?
Yes, Chicago State.
After Georgia State. So what was that like going from a South Georgia boy to an Atlanta guy to now Chicago? Here you go.
Ooh, man, hey, I'll tell you what, I didn't leave the house the first few months. It was to the office, and I stayed in the office. And then if I made that dash to get home out that snow and that cold. So it was an adjustment. First of all, it was a professional adjustment. You got to think about it. I just left Georgia State working for one of the legendary coaches. And during the end of our last year, Lefty retired in the middle of the season. And so that was a transition itself. But we were very successful, man. We had the best program in the state. I mean, and probably one of the best programs in the country at that time. We were rolling it. So to get an opportunity to get started in the business with the legendary Lefty Driesell, man, that was unbelievable. And so the transition to Chicago State, you know, just the cold, that was my biggest adjustment. But once you get started in basketball, it takes care of itself. And so, and it's a different league, you know, it was a different league. We were in the mid-continent, you know, we were like UMKC, I think Oral Roberts who were in there. It's been so long ago. Trying to remember a lot of teams. IUPUI, Coach Ron Hunter. Coach Hunter. So it was really, it was good, and that helped me recruiting wise, being able to go in the Midwest and recruit Chicago, all those areas, Milwaukee, you know. So it was a good recruiting to expand my recruiting base. And so, but I was only there one season, but we did win enough games to make the top 10 most improved from the year before. So, and just to have a relationship to move to Chicago and coach on that level was really good. You know, I take that. And so, but it was an experience, and to go from there to get an opportunity. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the World Basketball Association.
Corey is.
Yeah, I coached in it one year.
What year? Which one?
It would have been 2009.
Okay, which team?
The Cartersville Warriors.
Okay, yeah. You know, so we started we won the inaugural season championship. Me and Latira Green at Southern Crescent Lightning, Peachtree City. Let me throw these names out. Yeah. Josh Powell, Lamont McIntosh, Shenard Long, all those guys. Derek Allen. I mean, we were loaded. We had Ezra Williams. We had what's Wilkins, the the son of Gerald Wilkins, Damon Wilkins.
Yep.
We had Taylor, who played at Michigan State back in the days, point guard. I mean, we had a really good team. So and you know, there was some top-notch coaches in there. You had Richard Williams with the Jackson Rays team. You had Chucky Brown with the Raleigh, North Carolina. All these NBA guys, Raleigh, North Carolina team. You had, I think, Richie Farmer with the Kentucky team.
All right.
Harry Ellis with the Chattanooga team. Man, it was, who else? I mean, it was Tree Rollins, coached the Macon Blaze team. And so it was really good. So we won the inaugural season championship. We went, and we beat Jackson Rage in Jackson, Mississippi, when they had like Mario Austin, all those really good guys.
Wow. You're mentioning all these names of kids that I either coached with Georgia Stars or was involved with at Georgia State at some point. And that's a killer roster right there. No wonder you won that championship. I love it.
Pretty good, man. It was an experience. It was that like that old CBA, you know, traveling vans, getting to different, Corey, as you know, Coach, as you know. So, but it's a great experience. So Chicago State from Chicago State to the WNBA. So,
and then your next stop was Fort Valley, correct?
Yeah. So I interviewed during the job at Fort Valley while I was still coaching there with the WBA. And so it's amazing to me, man. It was over roughly about 400 folks trying to get that job at the time. And one name that sticks out to me was Nate Tiny Archibald trying to get it at that time. Yeah, it was a lot. Yeah, it was a lot of guys trying to get all type of NBA coaches. As you know, when jobs come up, everybody wants to get a good job. And so, and to be a 30-year-old coach at the time, to get that job over a lot of folks are trying to get, man, it was truly remarkable. And then, you know, that year I opened that new facility. It had a brand new 5,000-seat arena that I opened. So I was thankful and blessed for that. And so that was like my third stop in the journey, you know, fourth stop, you know, being the head coach at Fort Valley State. So that was really good. Had two winning
seasons. That was really your first time not in a major city, right?
Yeah. And so, Fort Valley, Georgia, it was a big adjustment. Like you said, you go from Atlanta to Chicago, back there. And during the time I lived out there in that area, Peachtree City with the WBA. So I was living in Peachtree City with the team because we had set up, we had hotels and all that stuff set up for our players and we stay out there. We had a really good setup. And so
big time.
Went from there, then moved to Fort Valley. And so, of course, it took me a while to adjust, but that's the best move I ever made. You know why? Because that's how I met my wife.
Hey,
Hey,
Travis,
brother.
perfect. Hey,
Hey.
let's take an aside from the coaching career and let's talk family. Tell us about your incredible wife and those two children you have. I know you are just totally dedicated to them.
Listen, man, like I mentioned to you earlier, man, I'm a man of faith and family. You know, that's most important. And so even with my career, you know, I had an opportunity to actually go to Tulane University with Ron. Coach Hunter was taking our whole staff and just to go back there. But we moved, as you know, in this business, coaches, we move a lot. Our security is based off whether or not we win or losing. And so me having a family, looking at the security part of it, and at that particular time, I wasn't really chasing anymore. So this just speaks to my conviction with family. And so I said, listen, I moved a number of times in this business, and my wife had a point where she said, listen, you can go and chase it, continue to chase it, but I want to lay my roots down with my family. And she said, you do what you got to do. But as you know, that father instinct kicks in.
Mm-hmm.
Kicks in.
Yeah, Corey, we're seeing your boys climbing all over you in the middle of your podcast, and it's all good, right? That's what it's about. That's what it's about.
So, and that's important. So as a father, I made those decisions. And so that's just how big I am on family. Mm-hmm. Whether or not to go somewhere and knowing my wife is not comfortable with it after being in the trenches as a wife and supporting the cause and, you know, kids, you know, so my family means the world to me. And so that's how I met my wife. I just had moved to Fort Valley State University. I'm promoting my basketball team at the radio station. And she was there promoting one of her organized sorority events. And I'm like, whoa, who is this? So, man, and look at us now. In June, we just celebrated our 13-year anniversary. So we have a 7-year-old and 8-year-old, second and third grade. And so my wife means the world to me. And she's a coach's wife, man. And as you guys know, you got to have the right person in your corner if you're going to be in this, if you're a coach and you're going to be in this business. So she's a true coach's wife. She supports my dream, my vision. And she knows that whatever I'm doing is for the best interest of our family. So, man, that thank you. Fort Valley, unbelievable move, because that's why I'm here. That's why I have my family, man.
That's awesome. Who would have thought it, being in Atlanta and Chicago, you'd find your girl in Fort Valley, Georgia, right?
Wow. Fort Valley at the Macon radio station, moving to Fort Valley and meeting at the radio station. Whoever thought of that, man? We talk about it and kid about it, but man, every time I pass there going to my hometown of Tifton, Georgia, I raise my hand. Thank you, Fort Valley.
Now, how long were you at Fort Valley?
I was there 3 years, man. So I was there 3 years, and so we had some pretty good success, man. I really enjoyed it. You know, unfortunately, we just had a lot of transition with our president. You know, we had too much transition with our presidents, man. I had 3 presidents in 3 years.
Ooh.
Think about that. President Lomate, who hired me, he understood my vision. He understood my passion for coaching. And he understood the plan that I laid out for the future success of the program. And so when he left after that first year, you know, of course, I got an interim president, and then I get another one. And so, but then what happened is that Mark Schloneker called me going into that would have been my 4th year, and said, hey, listen, I have an opportunity for you. You know, I'm not going to interview anyone. You know, I may not need to say that, but he said, you know, I believe in you. This job is yours. And he explained his situation this last year on his contract, new president. He said, but I would love for you to come be my assistant, because I played Coach Sloan Mercer pretty much every year. I was a head coach there. And so I've been knowing Coach for a long time. He's one of the best in the business, most genuine in business. You know, Coach Schloneker. And so
and best individuals too, as a person more than anything else, right?
Oh yeah, and that was it. So roughly 3 years at Fort Valley. Then I got an opportunity to go back to Division I at Mercer University, and then we knocked off number 17th ranked USC, featuring O.J. Mayo and Taj Gibson with Tim Floyd as the head coach. So we were able to we were able to start off, but our season kind of got a little rocky. You know, one of our best players decided to red shirt, and so, but a great experience getting back to back Division I with Mercer University, and so that was really good. And also I was living in Macon with my wife. I was commuting back and forth from Macon to Fort Valley, so it kind of worked out in Mercer.
Okay. Nice.
Mm-hmm. Tell some that are listening, they probably don't know the league that Fort Valley's in, and I know that's a tough league. Kind of tell us a little bit about that.
The league is really good. You have Morehouse, Benedict, Payne College, Miles College, Tuskegee, Lane College. It's really good league. Morehouse College, Clark Atlanta. And so you have some really good coaches in that league, some really good teams in that league. And then so I just think it's some outstanding basketball. I really do. You got a really good coach in Fred Watson over there at Miles College, who's won back-to-back SIAC championships, and he was doing the same at Benedict College. Coach Grady Brewer, who's been at Morehouse College for a while. They have a very well-respected program. And so, but it's a really good basketball league. I had an opportunity to go, when I was doing my HBCU AllStars, to go to the SIAC tournament in Rock Hill, South Carolina, and spend some time during the tournament, but also spend some time with the students watching the games throughout the regular season. But really good league. I enjoyed it. Really good basketball league.
Travis, this is one of the reasons we have this podcast, Off the Beaten Path, is that so many people don't realize the level of really, really good basketball going on in leagues like this one. And thank you for sharing those names of schools and coaches who are playing at high levels, but don't get the recognition or the exposure that your Power Fives or even your regular D1s do, right?
Yeah. Exactly. And so like even Albany State University, you know, so I mean, and you have, and what's interesting about it, you know, when I was hired to take the Fort Valley State job, do you know the question came up, said, well, listen, we don't care if you don't beat anybody else, beat Albany State University. That just lets you know the rivalry with some of those teams. Think about it, Albany State, Fort Valley State, Morehouse College, Clark Atlanta, Miles and Tuskegee, you see what I'm saying? Payne and Benedict, all those different schools, you know, and I think Central State, they moved Central State in there a few years ago, and I think we had Kentucky State in there. So, I mean, I think they rotated a few other teams in there as of recently, but the basketball, the history, the tradition at some of these schools is unbelievable, and the passion for these sports and for the alumni base. I mean, it's really, really good. It's really good. Matter of fact, Fort Valley brought me back in February. They recognized me during the halftime as one of their successful coaches, and they were playing Albany State. And man, you talking about unbelievable, jam-packed crowd. I'm telling you, that's the true HBCU experience, you know, that you get, man. And so that's the true HBCU experience that I was doing at Morehouse College. So that's important. HBCU basketball is important, and it's really important now, you know, so.
All right, so then that takes you to China.
Yeah.
That's correct.
Yeah, China was.
How do you go from Fort Valley, Georgia to China?
Man, how do you go from Tilton, Georgia to China?
Right, that's right. Well, you went to Mercer first, though. I'm sorry, I left out. So you go Fort Valley, Mercer, then to China.
Yeah. Well, Mercer, you know, they ended up letting Mark Sloniger go at Mercer that year, you know, with the new change in administration. And so, you know, we're at the crossroads, decide, you know, I'm at the crossroads. I just had got married, like we talked about my wife. I just had got married. Probably wasn't even married a year. And so, and I always in the back of my mind, I was like, man, I've always wanted to go international and coach. I always want, and then of course, you know, that was leading up to the 2008 Olympic gold, you know, in Beijing, the team in Beijing. And so we had been watching basketball during this whole time when those guys went over there and playing those games in the bird nest over there basketball wise. And so I said, man, and so a colleague and a good friend of mine said, hey man, you ever thought about going overseas? And I'm like, man, he must have read my mind. He said, he had a few contacts over there in China and said, hey, would you mind, going coaching in China? And like I said, I just got married. We didn't have any kids in that time. And I told my wife it'd be a great way to get this international experience and to be a part of it. And also, of course, to make some really good money. You know what I'm saying? Because they, one thing about China, they love basketball. And so I got an opportunity to go over there, and it was an unbelievable experience. And when I say unbelievable experience, because they love basketball.
Mm-hmm.
Man, I thought I was a Michael Jordan over there, and I was the coach. They thought I was a player. I said, no, I'm the coach. Imagine everywhere I went, there were a crowd of people following me. After a game, man, I look around, I might have 500 folks at the game following me and my translator. You know what I'm saying? Or when I venture out into different provinces and stuff, every 100 yards, man, there was full court basketball courts everywhere. That's how much they love basketball. I'm talking about you can go down the street, basketball court. You can go up the street, basketball court. That's how much they love it, man. And I'm talking about every arena is packed. I mean, and then they train. Like I had my team. It was mandatory. I trained my team at least twice a day prior to our game. I mean, it was just, that discipline and structure like that. And my situation was so nice. Think about this. My hotel, I stayed in one of the luxury hotels. I walk out my room, my practice facility is connected to my hotel. The owners own the team. And so imagine, guys, that I didn't have to lift my finger about room service. I pick up the phone, hey, this is what I need. And my wife, boy, just imagine that for 6 months. I didn't have to buy anything. I had 3 assistant coaches, 2 secretaries. I had access to like 3 or 4 courtesy cars, my drivers. And I walk out and my practice facility is connected because they believe in basketball. They wanted, and I stayed at a westernized hotel where it was all westernized food, whatever you want to eat. And only when you ventured out into different provinces where you really had the experience. And I did it on number occasions until I got adjusted. So my wife was like, she came to visit. She was like, don't think when you come back home, you're going to be treated like this. Because she got a chance. Hey, coaches, she got a chance to visit. And she was like, you living like this? So
Don't get too used to this, honey.
She was like, you mean to tell me when they wash your clothes, they fold them? Like I call them, come get my clothes to wash, man. They come back and pressed in plastic bags. And so my wife was like, don't think when you come back to the United States, it's gonna be like that. I said, but it was a great experience, man. Once you got used to the culture, the shock and all of it, adjusted to the food and just the language. I learned a little Chinese and I learned a lot of, basketball terms. I'm gonna show you something right here.
Yeah.
Let me show you something. This is important. We have, as coaches, Coach Lee, we have our play sheets and all this other stuff. Guys, check this out. This is all in Chinese. I have my translator. So when I'm coaching the guys, I got my little notes. So let me show you. It says no talking. Booyah ho. You know what I'm saying? So imagine me, because the translator, so imagine me in a game and my translator there, he doesn't say it in the passion that I have. You know what I'm saying? Like when I get onto a guy, you know how we are. We're in the heat of the battle. We get onto a guy. And I'm like, man, you got to say it meaning so they know it's serious. And he looked at me like, coach, it's different culture. You know what I'm saying? Like different. No, you have to say it like I'm saying it because it's a different culture. And so I said, okay, cool. I got it. Let me learn it. So I'm like zone defense. Yi, one rotate. Yi, launch Z. So I'm learning. It's crazy, man. And so, it's like make shots. Tojin. So imagine me.
Shots.
Let's go.
get your butt back on defense? Is that one of them?
Nah, yeah, this is it. Defense. Function. Hey, so just imagine me doing that, because over there, those coaches sit on the bench and they just like this. They really don't say anything. So you know me being a coach, we get up and we involve in it. So imagine I'm coaching my team. It got to a point where the fans, they thought it was hilarious. So every word I say, they would say it. Yeah. I'll say, Funcho. They like that. Funcho. You know, they start coaching. So it was just that hilarious. But like I said, once basketball started, it's basketball. And that was the most important thing. Basketball. That's what
you're not criticizing the style. You're just talking about the cultural difference. It's absolutely the norm.
Yep.
And you brought a different style and a voice there. That's awesome.
But basketball is basketball. So once you get them on the court, it's basketball.
Yeah,
it was a great experience, man. Unbelievable.
And it was southern China near Dongguan.
I coached in is Guangzhou, which is, if you consider it like Guangzhou, because in different areas of where I went to play, it was cold, like New York. Guangzhou is like South Beach, Miami, where we stayed. Mm-hmm. All the factories were. That's why I was so westernized, because if you own a factory in the United States, that's where you normally went, to that area. And I had the opportunity to tour factories, man, and see that. Had opportunity to climb the Great Wall of China. Had opportunity to go to, like I said, the Beijing, to visit the bird nest, where all that stuff was. So, I mean, they flew my wife over there twice. So we had the opportunity to really enjoy the China experience, man. So it was a great experience, man. Like you said, to go from Mercer to China, you know, that was great.
So now after China, you go back to an HBC, but this time it's a Division I, and it's different because Tennessee State plays in the OVC. So that's a real different HBCU experience, I would assume. So tell us first. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah. Thank you for that. And so that was, you know, I got the call, actually. John Cooper, who's a good friend of mine, he's at Oklahoma State now. He got the job. And so he called and reached out and said, hey, man, you know, I got a position for you. I know you're over there coaching in China. I got a position for you. And I was like, hey, you come be my top assistant. I'm like, hey, and that'll be get me back home. And, of course, my wife is there. And I said, hey, I need to finish this season, you know, because we were doing friendlies we were doing friendly tournaments that time. We had played like 13 or 14 friendly games leading up to the season or whatever. And so he said, I got a job. I said, he said, I'll hold it for you. And so I was letting my team know, my ownership know. I was like, listen, I need to go and sign my contract. He said, man, if you come back, you sign your contract and go back over there and do what you need to do and finish up. And I'm like, cool. But as you know, the team would not allow me to leave. Now, I mean, well, the team's supposed to fly you back and do all that stuff. You know what I'm saying? They didn't trust the fact that I would come back. But I'm like, listen, I'm coming back and getting this money and finishing this season. You know what I'm saying? And so, but they didn't trust that fact. So I'm like, that's why you hear all these stories about how sometimes they have a lot of the overseas players get bad deals or bad situations or don't get their money and all that stuff. I still got all my money. I left a little on the table, but I was like, oh, they turning, you know. So I told my translator, I said, listen, I'm gonna head back. I said, I'm gonna go back early. I said, just let's make sure, get me to Hong Kong. I'm gonna fly and get back, etc. So because over there, you know, to be honest, they're not really making that much money over there. And so for me to give them $100 or whatever, okay, that's a lot of money for them at that particular moment. And so I know the economics it definitely changed from back in then. So I got an opportunity, call my wife and let her know, hey, we're moving to Nashville, Tennessee. And I told her about the Tennessee State. And so it was a great opportunity. You know, we got in there. We moved there June of 2009. And so we love Nashville. We love Tennessee State University. We had some good success there. And John Cooper, we ended up having a winning season. We lost to Murray State. Was it a semifinal? I think it was a semifinal game to go to the championship game. But we had won 20 games that year. If I'm not mistaken, 20 games that year. And John Cooper gets the job to go to Miami, Ohio. And that was during the 2012 season. And so I got an opportunity to slide over in that seat as the head coach. And so coached the likes of Robert Covington, who's with the Houston Rockets now. And had a very good season that first year, 2012-13 season. We went 18-12. We got an invitation to the CIT tournament, lost to Evansville in the first round. Got an opportunity to be nominated for the Ben Joe First Year Award. That was for historic Black colleges. And but more importantly, man, we had an outstanding graduation rate with all our players. I coached, I think it's like 3 to 4 all-conference players during that time. And so, man, we're big on academics. And Tennessee State was good. We played in like you said, it's a HBCU, but we play in the Ohio Valley Conference. And so that was the unique thing about it, the league in itself. But we still had our challenges as HBCU. But the basketball league, it was great. Of course, Belmont's always been tough. Belmont, Austin Peay, Tennessee Tech, Eastern Kentucky. Who else we had? Jacksonville State. Morehead State, Eastern Illinois. Let me just make sure I'm not missing anyone. Who else we got down there? I got another Tennessee team that I might be missing. Who is that?
Corey, why do you mention Morehead State? You got any connections there? Any players that may have moved on that way?
Yeah. I had a kid play there, so I was just thinking about it.
What's his name?
It was Robert Murray. He played for Donnie Tyndall, so that would have been.
Okay, yeah, Donnie. He played. Oh, yeah, Donnie when they had Kenneth Fareed and all that. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they were really good. And so, but it was really great. Great basketball. Nashville's great. Great working for John Cooper. We had a great staff. And so it was really good. Dana Ford, who's the coach at Missouri State, was on staff with us. During that time.
And you had Brandon Johnson, right? Didn't he work for you?
Well, BJ was during my time when I was head coach. I brought in Brandon Johnson was one of my assistant coaches, and Ben Betts, and Rodney Hamilton. Rodney Hamilton, who's with Memphis with Penny Hardaway.
Yeah, man, that's awesome.
Grad and player.
Yeah.
And Betts down here at Georgia Southern.
Yep.
And then Brandon Johnson worked when I played at Clayton. He was an assistant.
Okay, yeah. Oh, yeah. That's taking it back, man.
Yeah, it was a long time ago.
Yeah, that's taking it back. So, yeah, so I had a great staff, man. And then that 2013, like you said, 14 season, I was faced with some challenges, and I won't get into particulars. I try to always leave it a good note, but as a coach, if you don't get the administration support, then you're going to struggle in certain areas. So we weren't able to do what we need to do as a staff, and that subjected us to a losing season the following year. So they ended up relieving me in year 2. But I felt like, as a coach, that's not enough time to do what I needed to do. And so, it stung a little bit, but at the same time, I had to regroup. And so during that time, that's when I launched Academic and Athletic Consultants. So me and my family, we stayed in Nashville for another 2 years. So I moved back to Atlanta in 2016 after launching Academic and Athletic Consultant, so we can focus on the other business, the consultant part.
And then that was when you went back to high school coaching, correct?
Yep. That's when
How was that coming from a Division I head coach, a pro coach, Division II head coach?
Man, I'll write a book about that, because that is amazing. But you know what? And honestly, Coach, that was a great experience, because now it comes full circle. Mm-hmm. And the reason why it comes full circle, because we as coaches, you see all this trend and kids, and so many kids are in the transfer portal. I think it's over 700 kids, ain't 750 to 800 every year in the transfer portal, and making decisions, go to schools and all that different stuff. But I got a chance to get on the high school level and to really see the dynamic of it. Because we already recruiting them, but to see them every day and to see the makeup from where they come from different backgrounds, different homes and different cultures, and see where some of them are lacking the necessary coaching or skill development, man. And so to get an opportunity to see that, man, it was unbelievable. And so me going from Tennessee State, going from consultant, and then to say, hey, man, we want to bring you in high school coaching. And so that was an opportunity to go to Maynard Jackson, named after one of the most famous mayors here, as you know, Maynard Jackson. And And it's a program
Come
that
down and eat at Dean's Barbecue in Jonesboro. So I'd see him every now and then.
okay, yeah.
We'll throw back there. All right, go ahead. Sorry, I had to say that.
Oh man, hey, that's what it's about. That's what it's all about, man. You know, bringing those memories, talking about it. And so I was just thankful, man. I was there from 2016 to 2018, man. And I went, what was my final record? I was 44-12. I lost a total of maybe 6 conference games by a total of 20 points. We went, what did we win? We went 25-3 or something my second year, something like that. It was one of them. I mean, but we went 13-1 in the league. It's the first conference region championship since they was transitioned to Maynard Jackson. So I won the first region championship. Went back-to-back GS, state tournament. We went to the Sweet 16 my second year, and so it was great. And then I ended up getting a call from Ron Hunter to come back home to my alma mater, Georgia State University.
Now, how was that? Because you had coached there with Lefty and, of course, the legend Dan Searle, but you had also played there. Now coming back with a new regime that kind of had started a new, a new path, a new direction. Had pros with his son and all that. So now he kind of runs the city. He said his best team in the state. That was his big sell for a while.
Oh, man. I mean, it was unbelievable, man. To get an opportunity, like I said, I had left there. Think about it. What we just talked about, I had left there. It was all this stuff I've been doing. That was up during a 15-year coaching career to get back to this point. I was gone for 15 years. And to come back to your alma mater 15 years later. And to do it with one of the most successful coaches. You think about it. I go from Lefty to Giselle, where we were really, really good. And we had some really good teams. And then 15 years later, you get Ron Hunter. If you know anything about Ron Hunter, he's a high-profile coach. He wins. And to get an opportunity, and you see why he wins. And we can recruit, and the level of players we were bringing in, and his style of play, playing that matchup zone, learning that. And it was unbelievable, man. Anytime you come back and experience a championship, we went 24-10 that year. Think about that. Yeah. Back-to-back Sun Belt championships, back-to-back NCAA tournaments. And so I got a nice fat ring to show for it. And so, I mean, it was an unbelievable experience, man, to go play in the NCAA tournament, to go out to Tulsa and play the University of Houston in the first round, just to go through the whole experience and everything. But more important, before we get to the tournament, you go to New Orleans and play in the Sun Belt Tournament Championship. And then being able to take my family, let my children experience that at my alma mater, the joys of that, and being a part of that. It was an unbelievable experience. So I thank Ron Hunter to this day. I call him all the time. He's a mentor. And so for us, man, for me, it was a personal and professional growth and to learn. I got better in the business. I understood why he'd been so successful in being able to adjust to today's style of players and learn what to do and what not to do. And so I learned a lot, man. So my basketball Bible just continued to get better and better. And so, but that was an unbelievable experience. And as you and I talked earlier, Ron got an opportunity to go to Tulane and have that same passion and mentality, taking it to Tulane. So, it was great.
Let's ask you one more question here before we go to the lightning round. Okay. When you come back to Georgia State, 15 years changed, head coach changed, a lot has changed. But what was the biggest change of the university? Because I know it had grown so much.
I think putting money in it. I think that's the most important thing. Hey, I didn't imagine. I'm like, man, we charting flights at Georgia State.
Searle may even come back for that one, right?
Right. Sign me up.
Yeah, charting flights and of course the facilities. I know, of course, we still played on the third, at the sports arena, but the whole atmosphere would change. Mm-hmm. The games itself. It's more money put into the marketing of the games. Our locker room, they had a nice locker room. You know what I'm saying? So it was more money put in there, and so of course more money put in there, more things to attract recruiting wise, and then also. The city itself. I mean, it was a vibe, man. Georgia State. Think about it. Georgia State, best basketball program in the state. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And so think about it. We good opportunity to go during the 2018-19 season to go to Cancun. Not Cancun, we went to the Grand Cayman Islands. And you know what happened on the Grand Cayman Islands, right? Sir, you know, right?
What happened? Tell us.
You know when we played that team?
Yeah.
From Athens, right?
Yeah. So, you know.
Beat them pretty good too, right?
Yeah. So, so I'm just saying that.
Yeah.
With the
Who
level
runs the state? Who runs the state?
Yeah, and so, to get an opportunity like that. And then we had an opportunity, more importantly, before the season started, we took the team to Spain. Remember, sir, I was telling you about we took the team to Spain?
Mm-hmm.
And that was a great experience as well. So just that type of stuff that we didn't get a chance to do my first time around. So it's obviously more money, more visibility in the program and where the program is. And like I said, and so I'm pulling for Coach Rob Lanier to do the same, and so.
Awesome. Well, let's finish this thing up. We're going to go lightning round. We're going to ask you some quick hitters.
Okay.
Quick questions, quick answers, and then we'll get you out of here. We really appreciate your time, though. It's been great. I'll start us off. I'm always a food guy. So I'm going to ask you, you've been in Atlanta 3 or 4 different times. What's your favorite place to eat in Atlanta?
My favorite place to eat in Atlanta is, man, that get me. But I like this spot. My wife always on me, but I like Eats Restaurant. Are you familiar with Eats on Ponce de Leon?
Historical, yes.
Yeah.
A little jerk chicken.
Oh man, I love it. I love Eats Restaurant.
Outstanding. Travis, best moment for you as a player back in the early 90s at Georgia State. What was your best moment as a player? Best moment as a player, man, is probably playing Penny Hardaway when he was at Memphis, man. To play that type of caliber player, man, and to be tasked with trying to hold him down to a season low, man. He ended up still getting a triple-double. But my best moment is being the first of my family to attend college and graduate college. I think that's the best moment, because I had dedicated that to getting the degree to my deceased mom, Patricia Ann Williams.
All right. So your time in Nashville. I know Nashville's also known for food. I'm going to keep a food theme going one more time. What was your favorite spot in Nashville to eat? Oh, man, Nashville. Oh, it was, I can't remember this spot. We used to take our recruits to all the time, man. What was it called, Kyle? Yeah, Malone's. Unbelievable restaurant, man.
Okay,
unbelievable.
Nashville.
Malone's. You see how my wife shouted out, saying Malone.
You got it. You got your back.
Yeah. That's why I told you she ride or die, man. She's unbelievable.
Nice. Hey, Nashville also known for music. Let's go to that theme. What's your favorite music band? What's in your AirPods?
Well, man, I had it hit home with me. My man Kip Moore. Kip Moore is from my hometown. He used to be like the manager of our high school team. Now he's a big country musician in Nashville. So I love Kip Moore, but I listen to all genres of music, so it really doesn't matter to me.
All right.
Gotcha. I like it. All right. So you mentioned Tifton. Now you real quick. I know you run some camps down there sometimes. We'll give that a quick plug. But Tifton, all right. So what's your favorite place to eat in Tifton?
Man, you don't want to know, man. My wife always gives me a hard time. I love them Shady Lane hot dogs. Have you tried the Shady Lane hot dogs in Tifton?
No, I haven't had them. I'm going to try it now.
Look at my wife all in our conversation. Now she's telling me that Shady Lane is not my spot, but hey, it's this spot called Wingstop. It's Wingmaster. It's called Wing Addiction.
All right.
Listen here. If you ever go to Tifton,
I'm gonna try.
Go to Wing Addiction. Get their hypnotic wings. Unbelievable.
I always eat at the Charlie's seafood place. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh, I know Charlie's. Yeah. I know Charlie. But man, I'm telling you, it's crazy. We'll drive through Tifton. Sometimes we go on vacation. We'll go through Tifton. We'll call in the family. We're going down to Bernardine or somewhere. We'll call in and say, hey, we're coming through Tifton. Have our order of wings ready. We'll pick them up and keep them moving. That's just that's just how much we love those wings.
I love it. All right, Cyril, get us off food. I'm staying on food only.
Hey, we must have been hungry. Didn't get breakfast in today, did you? Hey, back to the coaching ranks.
Okay.
What is one important quality, Travis, that a great team must have?
They must have character, man. If you don't have players with character, you can't win. Because character, you have character, you have discipline. It all trickle down. So if you got a great team with character and they're doing the right things, man, it's unbelievable. You know that in the trenches, you telling those guys what they need to do, they're going to fight to the end for you. So, but you got to have character. You can't have a team with bad characters, man. That's going to derail you. You can have some talented teams, some talented guys, but if they have bad character, man, it's going to derail you either way.
Starts with character. Corey, what you got?
I got two left. One is still a food one and one isn't. So I'm going to end with the last.
You're hungry, man. What you doing?
Yeah. Well, I got to ask this one, though. I started thinking. I had a cousin that worked in China for a little while, and he used to tell me all the crazy stuff they try to get him to eat.
Ooh.
What's the craziest thing you ate while in China?
Hey, and since my wife isn't here, man. Hey, listen, I'm going to be honest. I don't know what I probably ate everything. Because imagine I got there my first few weeks, and I had tried to learn. They said, hey, it's rude if you tell them no. And so me being, sort of green, don't really want to upset them during the time in China, like food. So I didn't know what I was eating. So I'm asking my translator, I'm like, I didn't know. And so I said, man, once I got to a point where I got comfortable, I learned this word, busha, no. And I was adamant about it, man. And so, man, ain't no telling what I ate. But, man, one time they flew my wife over there. And at the hotel I was telling about, Westernized Hotel, the owner have a private restaurant. It's quote unquote high profile restaurant for them. And so I go in there and eat with the owners. They take my wife in there. And I'm telling her, I said, baby, I don't know what this is, baby, but we got to say busha. So I have my translator with me. So in China, if you're at the table, you can't just pick up and, yeah, exactly, sir. You can't just pick up and have a drink. Well, if you have to toast folks, I don't know if it's still like that, but back in the day, you had to toast everybody at the table to drink. And so when the food coming around, they'll stop it. And my translator sitting next to me, I said, Jason, tell me what that. Jason, get it? Dog, coach, dog. I'm like, ooh. yeah. Busha. And then we'll point to somewhere else. I said, Jason, what's that? Cat, coach. I'm like, whoa. So me and my wife sitting there, and we're like, busha. We're like, we're full. We're stuffed. And so once they brought out these big old prawns and shrimp, we knew what we could eat. Oh man, we so
go.
Yeah, so I ain't no telling what I ate early on, but once I adjusted, venturing out to the province, that's what the issue. But I ain't no telling, man. But I know I didn't eat no dog and cat, though. I know that. So I ate things that I can see that I see something, see.
All right, I'll ask one non-food question, then I'll let Cyril end it. I want to know what's the toughest place or the worst place, whichever you want to answer it, that you ever played at. Because you've been in a lot of different leagues where travel has been pretty tough. What's a place when you go, oh, man, I can't believe we got to go there again or whatever?
Worst coached.
Ooh.
Player or coach. Either one, player or coach. It doesn't matter. And maybe it's the toughest. Maybe the worst is the wrong word to say. It might make it sound too negative. Maybe the toughest. However you want to answer.
Well, the toughest place I played, probably the toughest place I played is probably Murray State. Murray State, they got unbelievable tradition there, and it's unbelievable there. As you know, the tradition at Murray State, and that's from a coaching perspective. The toughest place is Memphis. Back when one thing I think they do in Memphis, they give the fans and the students everything about you. The students know your name, your birth. I mean, they say everything about you, and they all up in you, directly behind the bench, cussing you out. I mean, so Memphis was a tough place for me, playing. But before as a coach, probably Murray State when I was at Tennessee State University, something like that. But everything, Of course, you know, you're agony, but I know you only asked me one, but Belmont's a tough place too. But were you looking for more of that type of response or more just not appealing place to play?
Nah, we probably don't need to do that. Somebody might get mad at us. So.
Yeah. So that's, but you know, Belmont never loses at home. Murray State probably the same way. Yeah. Then as a player was Memphis, you know, playing Hardaway and just that environment playing it. And that back in that days, it was the pyramid where they played.
Yeah.
Right. So, yeah, it was a pyramid. So it was really, really crazy, you know.
Travis, those are some good stories and good moments, man. I go back to me being a little graduate assistant back at Georgia State with Lefty, and thank goodness you were there to show me the ropes and smile and learn the ways, man.
Oh, and that's important, man. Like I said, I hope you learn what to do and what not to do. And that
both, right?
But one thing I want to say about Lefty Driesell, man, I'm very appreciative of him, man. You know, giving me an opportunity to come in at my alma mater, because you know I did color commentating with Dave while I was in grad school. Right. That's how that came about. And so when Scott Adebayo left, you know, the position opened up, and so he reached out. He reached out to me, and so that was really important. So that lets you know the relationships are very, very important and very key. And then to see it come full circle and go to his Hall of Fame induction, you know, in Springfield, what is it, Springfield, right? Where is it? Massachusetts, yeah. To go to his Hall of Fame induction was unbelievable.
Take a second and talk about that. That wasn't on our list, but the Lefty Driesell Hall of Fame induction, you were there. How was it? I mean, talk about the amount of lives that were touched and were probably gathered for that event.
Man, it was unbelievable. And that's the year I was at Georgia State. We took a contingent of folks, me and Coach Hunter and numerous individuals from Georgia State. We had like a party, like a team of folks to go to this Hall of Fame. And it was long overdue, man. I always had in the back of my mind, I said, please do not recognize him while he's gone, recognizing why he's here. Because he's having some health challenges. But, man, if you ever get a chance, go back and look at his Hall of Fame acceptance speech. Lefty is Lefty, man, got a standing ovation. But it was unbelievable. Everybody you can think of, who's who, that's been in it, that's in NBA Hall of Fame on all levels were there, man. So Bill Russ on down to Dikembe Mutombo, Dominique. I mean, everybody was there. So it was just it was an unbelievable experience to take part in that and see Lefty Driesell go in the Hall of Fame. And so, and honestly, I was his only former assistant coach there, if I'm not mistaken. You know, but he might, if I'm not mistaken. But I know from our Georgia State days, I was the only one there. And so that said a lot, man. His influence on my coaching career, because that's how I got in the business, through him, and to have some success. You know, and so, I mean, I'm forever indebted to Lefty, man.
And here you are now. It's your shirt says "In the Loop." We've talked your whole loop, haven't we? It's the loop of Travis Williams right here.
Keeping you in the loop. And that's what we're having. We're in the loop. We have an exclusive conversation, man. We just breaking bread. We have some dialogue, man. And this is what it's about, man. I thank you guys for creating this platform, man, because I'm telling you, we need more dialogue like this, man. It's interesting. You know, I'm always, the question was asked, you coaching or not? I said, listen, I'm always going to be a coach. Right. That's why you always saw me on the Atlanta Hawks Zoom thing. Always, because you always want to learn. You always want to feed. And that was important, man. That's important in growth and development. And so I appreciate you guys, man. Y'all keep up the great work, man, you're doing, because you're impacting the lives as well, you know.
Travis, we appreciate you. Tell everybody where they can kind of keep up with you, from your Coaches for Change movement, where people can get plugged in and support and get involved, and also the In the Loop. So we can.
Thank you. I appreciate you. I appreciate it. Well, you can follow me on Facebook, just my name, Travis Williams. You can follow me on Instagram, Travis L. Williams 24. You can follow In the Loop Exclusive Conversations on Instagram. You can also follow HBCU AllStar Game Experience on Instagram, Twitter as well. You can follow me at Coach Travis Will on Twitter. You can follow me In the Loop Travis Williams on Twitter. HBCU AllStar Game on Twitter as well. LinkedIn, just Google Travis Williams. Pretty much any platform you can follow me on, you know. And so you can also go to my website, academicsandathleticconsulting.com. Academicsandathleticconsulting.com. That's where I do some academic athletic consulting for our young folks and for pretty much anybody that needs advice in transition to life, mentorship, relationship. And also just stay tuned with our HBCU All-Star Game experience. You know, you go to hbcuallstargame.com and stay tuned for more information for the 2021 HBCU All-Star Game in Indianapolis. But I thank you. I appreciate you again. But I want to say one parting word, you know, parting message.
All right.
Please continue to use your voice in your platform. You know, continue to stand with us, stand against social injustice, police brutality, systemic racism, voter suppression. You know, we have a platform to make sure our young folks, men and women, get to the polls and vote, use their right, you know, making sure our young men and women are educated and informed about what's going on in today's turbulent society. And so we just must continue to help each other out, to help each other fight through. There's a movement going on. And so what's happening, we want to continue to fight for righteousness and fight for justice. And just, I encourage you guys, man, keep doing what you're doing, keep fighting and support the cause, support the movement. And sometimes, you know, I've had friends, white colleague friends of mine say, hey man, what do I say, man? I just say, hey man, just use your voice, use your platform, you know. You know, if something going on, don't be afraid to show up. You know, you might not have to say anything. They see your presence just showing up, being a part. That says a lot. Just like what we did yesterday with Coaches for Change, you know. And so, but thank you guys, man. I appreciate this, man. This is sincere and true to my heart, man. I respect you. I love you, brothers, man. And thank you for having me.
All right. Well, we really appreciate you, and we appreciate what you're about. And we'll be pulling for you. And we appreciate your travels off the beaten path.
Thank you, man.
And all over. And we really appreciate you coming on.
And that's a blessing from God, man. And I tell folks all the time, every day I'm gonna add a page to every chapter of my book. So you keep doing it. Add a page every day. You get through one chapter, start another chapter. You know what I'm saying? So that's whether it's off the beaten path, whether it's on the path. You know, if you're gonna be successful, you know, you keep moving forward. So that's what we all gonna do, man. Appreciate it, brothers.
You got it. And you said two things. You said you got a voice and you got a platform. Use it. And that's what we're doing here. You can also, and here's our shameless plug, you can keep up with us on our social media with the Instagram Off the Beaten Path Podcast or the Twitter Off Beaten Path _. And for all of you out there, thank you for listening to our Off the Beaten Path podcast.
And we'll close it with, we're a show for those who want to coach, those who used to coach, those who are coaches, those who follow coaches, and those who hire and fire coaches. All right.
Love it. Peace.
Out.